Hey, everybody. Fascinating chat today as we dive into the world of global messaging solutions with a leader in the space at GMS. Anurag, how are you?
Hi, Evan. It's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you so much for having me here.
Well, thanks for being here. We met last at Mobile World Congress, and you just are finishing up a huge show in Dubai. So I know you're on the road. Appreciate your time. But before we dive into GMS, all things global messaging trends and opportunities, maybe some info on your background and bio, intriguing history with major players in this space. Let's
Sure.
do some introductions.
All right, sure. Happy to dive into that. I've been in the CPaaS and the messaging and the enterprise communication space for over a decade now. I have an overall work experience of over 15 years, but out of that, for over 10 years, I've been in the telecom space. I started my journey very accidentally. It was not planned, but I stumbled onto a WhatsApp message wherein there was an opportunity within the Tata Group in Tata Communications. At that point of time, I was actually within the steel business called Tata Steel. And within our Tata fraternity, there was one person messaging another on a WhatsApp group that, hey, listen, there is this opportunity in Tatacom and seems very interesting, something called A2P messaging. So for me also, I was equally intrigued. I said, never heard this term, but sounds interesting. So let's give it a shot. I don't think I did a great job in that interview, but I think as destiny was to have it, the interviewer thought that it's worth giving a shot for me. So yeah, that's how my journey started. So I started with Tata Communications when we were setting up their A2P messaging business from scratch. So literally the first SMS came in front of me, and I learned my entire ropes of the industry while I was there. The good part was that it was a clean slate, so there was just so much that you could learn and so much you could implement. So that was a wonderful journey. So I started by setting up the A2P messaging business at Tata Communications. We got most of the large OTT players and some of the largest operators. Definitely we were standing on the shoulders of the giant, which is the Tata Group. So through that, we were able to sign up a lot of operators on the B side. And because of that, we were able to soon create a name for ourselves and our own cornerstone within the industry. And I worked with them for a good over 7 years. And then in 2021, I thought let's try and expand my horizons a bit more. And I joined a company called Tanla Platforms. And there I was looking into partnerships and alliances. And they had a very forward-looking platform called Wisely, which is into blockchain and end-to-end encryption. So a very unique platform, and something which was um, created with the intent of curbing spam as much as possible, as well as ensuring data privacy. So I was working on a lot of partnership opportunities with MNOs, large carriers, enterprises, the whole gamut within the ecosystem. I also later worked with a company called Globetel Services, which is also a large international CPaaS player. And I was the chief growth officer there, looking again into a mix of different opportunities and fast tracking to where we are today. So I'm the chief revenue officer at GMS. GMS, as some of you might know, it's a very large international player within the messaging space and has now expanded tremendously into what we now call the new GMS. And that's what, Evan, I think caught your attention as well when you crossed our booth at MWC. So GMS has been within this messaging ecosystem for a good 16 plus years now. And while we've had Ukraine as one of our home markets, but the company is headquartered in Zug, the canton Zug in Switzerland for over um, uh, it started in 2014. So yeah, it's been over a decade now. So I joined them last year, and it coincided with a time when the company has decided to embark on a journey on strengthening its enterprise play. While we are already market leaders in Ukraine, where we offer A2P SMS and Viber termination to all large enterprises in the country. And of course, as you know, it's Ukraine, which has been through a very tough and demanding time. But I must say, hats off to the spirit of our Ukrainian team, and hats off to the spirit of the entire company for the wonderful performance that they continuously show and give us so much of confidence and inspiration to match up to their levels of passion. So we've been in this space of offering, you can say in a way, plain vanilla messaging and Viber connectivity. But the company wanted to expand into a larger space of enterprise communication. And hence, through an inorganic route, we have acquired some platforms and have been working towards integrating them. So we now have a truly AI-enabled enterprise communication portfolio. There are three key pillars on which this business stands. There is the CPaaS platform, which offers a complete omni-channel solution for enterprises. So whether it's your basic SMS or different OTT channels or an email, a lot of these channels. So that's available through our CPaaS platform. We have a two-way communication capability through our conversational AI platform. So be it text-enabled chatbots and voice bots. And we are not talking about the basic script-based chatbots, which just like, press one or two, which acts like an IVR. No, we are talking about something more advanced, which can actually understand the sentiment of the customer and be able to answer accordingly depending on what's required. And then lastly, we have something which is a generative AI capability. And there are multiple applications of the Gen AI capabilities that we have brought on board, and it's constantly evolving. As we are made to understand that the Gen AI industry or the Gen AI technology is going through massive changes and rapid revolutions as we speak. So from that perspective, there is a lot of fascinating have emerged from Gen AI. And through Gen AI, some of the aspects that we are able to focus on is, for example, data-driven content creation, or if it is around taking a whole knowledge base and being able to create a very versatile chatbot, wherein you can actually interact with the chatbot, and the chatbot has at the back end the entire knowledge base, which it can purge through and be able to provide very relevant information. And some other solutions also, some in fact which we are first in the world to offer, and we are in the process of commercializing them. So it's a very interesting journey. Of course, it comes with its own challenges, but it's interesting to be in this space. There is a lot, as you'd be aware, you have so many guests from diverse backgrounds, so you'd be aware that there is so much happening within the AI space. Almost everything is AI. I'm right now speaking to you from Dubai, as you said. So yeah, we are attending the event GITEX, which is one of the most famous enterprise-focused events in the world. And almost every company, almost every booth has some form of AI. What's most important is that, is it really AI? I mean, this is a very vast world. It's two alphabets, but it just changes the entire perspective of any conversation. So there's a lot which is happening in the industry. There's a lot which is happening within our company. And this all comes within my portfolio. This is all the enterprise business within GMS. And that's what I'm looking at growing for the company.
Wow, wonderful mission. And, congratulations on all the success. And of course, Slava Ukraine and the amazing resilience of the people there. So you're helping sort of bridge the gap between telecom operators and enterprises. And what are some of the challenges that you've encountered as you, kind of seamlessly interconnect across those different regions and carriers and enterprises? How do you bridge that gap between those two worlds?
Well, uh, so if I understand the question correctly, what you're saying is that on one hand, you have the enterprises, on the other hand, you have the telcos,
Mm,
and they are often different worlds. So, how do we
mhm,
bridge the gap? So, well, I think if you look at it, the industry has evolved a lot. I think the good part is that the operator community, especially, has really risen up a lot, and
mm,
they've not been complacent. So to that extent, I think the operators have also started getting into what I would say like a forward integration drive. So they've understood that they cannot just rest on the laurels of having the basic vanilla capabilities of like A2P SMS or voice, and they have to themselves ramp up into offering a complete omni-channel portfolio, AI-enabled solutions. So to that extent, I think it's been a very interesting journey. Every region, every operator within the region, I think they have their own nuances and their own growth trajectory. So on the maturity curve, they are all in at different levels. There is also multiple complexities, like there are state-owned operators, and then there are privately owned operators. Then there are operator groups who have certain mandates from the group level which need to be adhered to. So there's a lot of complexity within the operator world for sure. But what we have worked towards trying to get the entire enterprise play embedded within the operator ecosystem is that we've gone into a very true to its essence partnership model. So we are not here to sell a box. We are here to offer solutions. And we are here to handhold our partners in their entire journey towards enhancing their enterprise communication portfolio. So today we see that for all obvious reasons, the operator ecosystem is used to selling the plain vanilla services like SMS and voice, right? Whereas these new solutions, which I was talking about, especially Convey AI and Gen AI, a lot has to do with the solutioning mindset, which requires understanding the customer pain points and ensuring that we are able to provide the right solution, the most apt solution, which can serve the enterprise need. From that perspective, what we have worked towards is what we call like a professional services model. So what we're doing with the operator is that we are creating a team on the ground which will work with the operator and the downstream enterprises, and we will help create the right solution which would be tailor-made to the requirements of the enterprise. At the same time, one can argue that where is the scalability in this model? You cannot go around creating bespoke solutions for every enterprise. So yes, we of course would have certain standardized solutions, certain cookie cutter solutions, which can be taken up in a self-serve manner, or they can be deployed in the most matter-of-fact manner. But there are certain solutions which can be offered to especially larger enterprises who have some very unique use cases. So we are working on that. There are some operators across the world with whom we've been in advanced stages of discussions. We are getting into POCs. We are working on different industries. Finance is one, which is very significant. Healthcare is another one. There is e-commerce, logistics. These are some of the sectors where we are seeing a lot of demand. So we are working closely with the operators, and we are understanding their capabilities. We are working closely with their downstream enterprises, understanding their requirements, and trying to create the most suitable mix of solutions which can serve a wide spectrum of enterprises.
Wonderful mission. And of course, you're experiencing the omni-channel revolution as well. Every channel all the time, multiple channels. You mentioned Viber, obviously, and social media messaging, and so much more. How do you think about effective omni-channel experiences? And how are you able to go everywhere all at once?
Well, so when we talk about omni-channel, what we are working towards is providing communication via, or rather, providing the right communication via the right channel and at the right time of the day, for example, right? So yes, we are creating solutions wherein through platforms such as CDPs, customer data platforms, combined with a lot of analysis and insights, we are able to analyze an enterprise's customer base and be able to capture the end user preferences. So what we are working towards are solutions whereby the enterprise can know that this is the channel of choice which their customer would prefer to be communicated over. This is the time within the day which is the most suitable time to communicate. And this is the most suitable content. Again, as you know that with the advent of Gen AI, and we've all experienced the likes of OpenAI, ChatGPT. So there's a whole world of content creation which has opened up. Now, what's important out here is to ensure that anyone can ask that, that, hey, I can use ChatGPT for it. Why do I require your platform? What's different about this? So that's where something about the tonality of the communication comes into play. Every brand has its own essence, it has its own language, and it's very important that the brand's essence is very articulately communicated through the communication which is sent, whether it's over a text, as in an SMS, or over a WhatsApp or any other channel. So to that extent, our solutions work to our solutions work towards providing the right mix of tools to the enterprise, so that the enterprise can actually feed in as much data as possible about their brand, about their style of communication, and accordingly the right communication is created. So
Mm.
that's something which we believe that it's not that easy to create that in ChatGPT, but through our solutions, one is able to provide a more contextualized communication. So, yeah, these are some of the solutions that we are offering on the omni-channel play, and we see good responses because different markets have different nuances. So, for example, Ukraine, where we've been a very significant player and the market leader, we see that Viber is a channel of choice. You know, if you look at Southeast Asia, a lot of markets, WhatsApp is very
Mm.
prevalent. If you look at Philippines, once again, Viber is more prevalent than WhatsApp. Or there is still there's no one right answer, but between WhatsApp and Viber, both are fairly significant channels. If you look at the US, SMS still dominates as a very significant channel. WhatsApp is slowly, penetrating its way into the market. RCS is the new kid on the block. That's something which has taken up rapid adoption. And I think thanks to the Apple ecosystem also now including RCS, that has suddenly opened the doors for enterprises to reach out to their entire customer base, so not just Android users, but even Apple users. And that suddenly changes the entire game. So RCS is a channel which is becoming extremely popular. It is native, especially within the Android environment, and that's something which we are really looking forward to as something that will grow in the coming days with a lot more use cases. So yeah, that's how the omnichannel play is being observed in GMS.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity. Some of us thought RCS would never happen, but here it is,
Very true.
and it's an exciting time. Um, what are some of the challenges that your enterprise customers have, when it comes to deployment, implementation in the real world, whether it's, fraud prevention or compliance or technology challenges? What are some of the key areas you help them deploy their different services?
Right. So that this is a very good question, and when I think about it, there are so many aspects to it that it's difficult to pinpoint on one. It all depends a lot on which part of the entire value chain we are talking about. There are companies out there who provide a basic messaging capability or a voice termination capability or an OTT termination capability to an enterprise. There the challenges might be more. Uh, if I may say, just as an example, they might be more third world problems, which
Mm,
would be problems of security and ensuring that the connectivity is
mm,
working fine, and
mhm.
so on. But the minute we start looking into more advanced solutions, we start getting into, again, I'm just giving this as to draw a comparison, like first world problems that, okay, those hygiene issues are definitely there of security and connectivity, etc., that we need to look into. But a lot more aspects open up. So what happens is that at times the enterprise also doesn't clearly know what it's requiring, what is the exact pain point. So from that perspective, we actually run discovery sessions with our
Mm,
enterprises and try to pinpoint the exact problem, articulate the problem. The solution can only come once we've identified the problem properly. So we work towards having these multiple rounds of discovery sessions with enterprises, having the right mix of solutions offered to them accordingly, and then deploy those solutions within their environment. So our solutions can be cloud based, they can be localized on premise, Often banks, for example, they require solutions to be localized on premise, for example. So
Mm.
we have to work towards that. Of course, that does increase the costs, that does increase the turnaround time of deploying a solution. So some of those complexities do come into play. But I think if you really look at it right now, the biggest challenge that we observe is adoption of these new solutions,
Mm.
because what we've observed is that every company is enamored by the word AI.
Mhm.
Every CEO, every CTO, is sort of mandated by their shareholders that, hey, where is AI in your strategy? So it's very interesting because we see a lot of requirements for AI coming into play, but we see often that the senior leadership is hesitant from actually moving and taking the next step or taking the plunge in actually investing deeply into AI. So everybody likes to talk about AI. Everybody likes to believe that their strategy has AI embedded into it. But often when we ask enterprises to actually commit and invest into AI in the truest sense possible, we see that there is a certain hesitation that comes into play. So that's a major challenge which we are feeling today, that while your plain vanilla connectivity services are still fairly easier to manage and there are solutions around it which can resolve those issues, we are talking about a new uh, world of challenges which are coming about, and they are a lot to do with mindset. They are a lot to do with basic human adoption of new technology, right? So these are some of the challenges which we are starting to see when we get into discussions, because there are very long sales cycle, as you can appreciate when you talk about solution selling, right? So there are very long sales cycle, and one is working hand holding a customer through the entire journey. But in spite of everything, when you have to finally cross the finishing line, that's where a lot of customers still hold back, and we end up working sometimes on POCs, but some of those POCs don't see light of the day. Others do. In some cases, the enterprises are a lot more forward looking. They are a lot more prone to risk taking and experimenting with new technologies, and we see certain movement and traction. So that's how it is. The other challenge, as I said, is that this entire underlying AI itself is evolving at such a rapid pace that we have to always make sure that we are catching up with what the competitors are offering, what the industry is offering. So these are some of the challenges which we observe when we work on these new age technologies with enterprises.
Fantastic. And speaking of which, do you have any favorite stories or anecdotes around, customers using messaging to enhance customer engagement or customer experience? You must see a lot, not all you can talk about, of course, but stories would be great to hear in these different industries you mentioned, healthcare and many others.
Right. So I think one of the most interesting ones which I've come across recently, and I found it as a very unique and exciting use case, was a voice enabled bot.
Mm.
So, and that too, which is proactive in nature. So we actually experimented this in some markets and we got some very fascinating results. So there is this technology whereby we can train a bot to understand certain voice commands and be able to react, or rather be able to respond accordingly. So through that, we've been able to offer a lot of good use cases. I'll take a simple one out here. It seems very simple, and you might sometimes wonder that is it really a wow factor? But once you experience it, you actually come to know. So we've actually created voice bots, AI-enabled voice bots, which can remind customers about their upcoming insurance premium renewal. Not
Right.
only that, they can actually upsell as well. So we are looking at voice bots which will suddenly call up Evan and say, "Hey Evan, this is to remind you that we are calling from say Gecko Insurance, and
Mhm.
we are looking at and I see that we are approaching the policy renewal date for your policy, and this is the amount. If you would confirm yes, then we can actually process your renewal online itself, and then you can get into a discussion and you can say, hey, what is this about, and things like that. And the bot will actually comprehend what you say to it and be able to get into a conversation. Sometimes conversations can go out of hand, in which case we also have capabilities to shift to a live agent.
Mm.
But all in all, we've seen some very interesting conversations take place out there. And I think this is a very unique case. In fact, we have gone to the extent of adding background noise to the bot to give it as human-like and as real-time feel as possible, so that that typically we know when a call center agent calls and at the back end you can hear a little bit of
Mm.
noise. So we've tried to create that same environment out here, and it's been very interesting. So we've seen a good customer response for these solutions. We've seen a reasonably good conversion rate when we've rolled out the solution in the market. So yeah, this is one example which has recently caught my attention. There are so many which are coming about nowadays. One can always keep talking about how a lot of omni-channel solutions around messaging have led to increased efficiency, increased conversion. So that's of course been the talk of the town for a long time. But what got my attention personally was this AI-enabled voice bot solution.
That's great. And it's a great opportunity for brands to
Right.
talk and reach out to their customers, and not just forget them when it comes to renewals and support. Well done. So you're finishing GITEX and you have a busy travel schedule, I imagine. What else is on your radar personally, professionally? What's coming up as we head to the year end?
Personally, I would look forward to getting back home as soon as possible. Sometimes it becomes a little challenging. So, especially for GMS right now, it's in a very interesting part of the journey wherein the management has invested a lot into expanding into several strategic markets. So you can imagine that international messaging and international wholesale is something which is more relatively commonly found within our industry. And
Mm.
whatever principles apply today, I was talking to someone, I said, whatever principles GMS has to apply with an operator maybe in Bangladesh might not be very different from what you apply in Mexico, just as an
Mm.
example. I know that there is a lot more to it. I'm oversimplifying it, but international business has certain tenets and principles on which it runs, and there's with its own nuances, you are able to conduct business in various markets around the world, and that's thankfully, of course, what's helped GMS reach a market leadership position within the international messaging space. However, when you look at enterprise, it's a totally different beast. You have to invest significantly into domestic operations. So whether it's creating a domestic entity, creating a domestic team, running market studies, understanding the market, being able to ensure that our products have the right product market fit, ensure that the people on the ground, the feet on the street, are able to effectively understand the solution, because if they can't understand it, they can't sell it. So there's a lot of learning and development which comes into play as well. So there's a whole gamut of market creation activity and market readiness activity, which I am personally involved in. So we have a set of strategic markets that we are targeting. We've been targeting already this year and further expanding next year. So there are certain markets in Europe, there are some markets in Middle East, there are some markets in Southeast Asia, and we are following a twin strategy. One is in some markets we are going directly, where we are confident that we have the wherewithal to interact with enterprises directly. There are certain other markets where we partnered with the right partner profiles. Typically, these could be mobile operators who have significant interest in expanding their solution portfolio on the enterprise side. We are working also with a whole other gamut of partners, which are system integrators, independent software vendors, some even basic plain vanilla aggregators who have a large enterprise base already available. So these are the go-to-market strategies which my team and I are working on at the moment. and that's what's keeping me busy. And I am very nervous, to be honest, but I'm really looking forward to how things pan out in the coming months, and we are hoping for the best.
Fantastic. Well, amazing tour de force of the messaging world. I learned a lot. Well done, and have a great trip back from GITEX. And hopefully, we'll see you again at Mobile World Congress in March next year, just around the corner, unbelievably. But take care, Anurag, and congratulations on all of the success.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Evan. A complete pleasure interacting with you. You are truly one of the most well-known tech fluencers. You know, this term I heard for the first time only once I interacted with your profile. And for sure, all the interesting guests who have featured in your show. It's a pleasure and a complete privilege to have been part of this journey and this
Oh, well,
conversation.
thanks. Thanks so
So,
much. You're too kind. And I look forward to meeting you again soon. Thanks, everyone, for listening and watching and sharing this conversation. And take care.